In 1894, for example, there were several Muslims who went on a rampage in Malabar, started desecrating temples and all of that. They then took shelter in a temple, and when they were asked to come out, they of course came out in a hail of fire and died. In the book by Deputy Collector of Calicut, Mr. Gopalan Nair, he writes that there was no trigger for this sort of violence that could be recognized. It was just a result of unbridled Mohammedan fanaticism. On the 25th of February 1896, a gang of 20 Moplah Muslims went on a killing spree. They terrorized the village. The book says that during this period, Hindus were murdered and their hair was cut off. They were forcefully converted to Islam as well. In February 1919, for example, a gang of Moplah Muslims, headed by a dismissed Moplah head constable, began to brew trouble. Following their usual methods, they broke in and defiled several temples. They killed almost every Brahmin and Nair that they could find in their path. They died in a hail of fire, of course. After hundreds and thousands of such incidents of low-level violence for over 100 years, right from the mid-1800s, finally, in 1921, there was a mass genocide of Hindus in Malabar by the Moplah Muslims. In August 1921, it is estimated by official numbers that over 10,000 Malabar Hindus were murdered. This is an official estimate, so we can obviously assume that the real number was much higher. The Khilafat movement had built up to the Malabar genocide of Hindus. There were women who were raped by the Muslims. There were Hindus who were beheaded. There were families that were annihilated and even burnt alive. There's one such incident in which a pregnant Hindu woman was murdered and her fetus was pulled out of her body. She lay bleeding on the road. I'll narrate one more incident, one more massacre during the Malabar genocide of Hindus. On the 25th of September 1921, a Khilafat leader held a rally of about 4,000 Moplah Muslims. In that, there were calls to jihad that were made, Quranic verses that were read, and then 40 Hindus were caught hold of. 38 were murdered. Only 3 of the 38 were shot. The rest were beheaded and thrown into the Thuvur well. It is said that even 3 days after the beheading, there were some of them who had life left in them. The Moplah Muslims went down the well, made sure that they beheaded them completely, and came out again.